Hello, I'm Lupe Solorio, Vice President of Capacity Development and Sustainability. As many of you know, Community Partners is a fiscal sponsorship and intermediary organization in Los Angeles. We're one of the largest of our kind in Southern California, managing over 80 million in revenue and home to over 180 projects, making a profound impact in our communities. This past year, our board selected a new President and CEO, Alicia Lara, to lead us into this new era as an organization. Alicia came to us with over 25 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, along with passionate, proven commitment to improving the lives of people in marginalized communities. Now that Alicia has been with us for a few months, we wanted to take the time to introduce her to our sponsored intermediary partners and our colleagues within the philanthropic community. Alicia, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lupe. I'm so pleased to be able to do this today.
Great. So I guess to get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what led you to the work in the nonprofit sector, and more importantly, what led you to Community Partners?
Yeah, so born and raised here in Los Angeles. I'm really fortunate about that. My parents came out here to California during a time where you could make a good living, even though neither one of them had graduated from high school. The schools were great then, and so it was a perfect opportunity. We had family here, so it was a perfect opportunity for them to establish themselves, which they did. I've been in California all my life. I went to school in San Diego. I lived in San Francisco for many years, and just have always found what I needed here in California. My entire professional career has been in the nonprofit space. My parents, but especially my mother, really drilled into her three children the need to give back to community. Both of my brothers actually are teachers here in California, and so they've taken that responsibility to heart in the work that they do day in and day out with young people. And I came through and came up really becoming an advocate in many different ways. I was an organizer. I got into health and health advocacy. That became really important. I came up in San Francisco when the AIDS epidemic was really starting to emerge, unfortunately, in very powerful ways. But what we found at the time, I was at a women's clinic, and nobody was talking about the women that we were starting to see who were testing positive for HIV, who were primarily women of color, low-income women. And so, that led me down a path around looking at health inequities and really what does it take to change systems to make them more equitable. And so I've done all kinds of different work, and in 1996 became the first program officer to be hired in the Bay Area for the California Endowment, a brand new foundation then. And we really wanted to infuse the culture of the California Endowment to hold community at the center of the work that we're doing, which is kind of that's who I was and still remain. Fast forward to where I was, I did work with United Way in Los Angeles. We did a lot of transformation work there, started to work with United Way worldwide to work with other United Ways on how to do this. And the question was, how do you become really relevant in your community? It's something that I take pretty seriously. When I got the call from the recruiter about the opportunity, I certainly knew about Community Partners. I mean, I've known Paul Vandevetter for a long time. It's a fantastic organization. I believe in the model. I was once associated with an organization that was fiscally sponsored. It was up in the Bay Area. If you had asked me to stand up an organization, do all of the work that we needed to do facing into the community and manage it, like stand it up operationally, I wouldn't have done it. I'm not in any way talented enough to be able to do that kind of work. And so it was great to have our project fiscally sponsored. And eventually it spun out and is a fantastic organization today, the California Pan-Ethnic Health Network. Go see Penn. So I believe in the value and the basic proposition. What got me particularly excited about this opportunity was when I took a look at the projects on the website. Some amazing folks, many of whom I know, so many others that I don't, but the work that they're doing. And so I thought this would be a fantastic opportunity and challenge, right? How do we start moving the organization into today's Los Angeles, today's environment in the state and in the country with all that's happening? How do we center equity, racial justice, vibrant communities? These are the values that are of importance to me that I bring to the organization. And it's all about how to figure out how community partners sees its value and ask the basic question. We are relevant to our projects. What does it mean to be relevant to the larger community? What can we be doing? What could we be doing differently? What can we be doing better? So I've been meeting with staff, Lupe, as you know, since I started. I made a commitment to meet with every single core staff person at Community Partners, which was fantastic. And then have been able to pivot now, starting to meet with project leaders and stakeholders who have been honest and are interested and asking, what can we do to help? So I'm excited. I'm excited about what's ahead of us and excited to be working with the team.
Great, thank you. So as our new president and CEO, you talked a little bit about what you're envisioning for the organization. Can you go into a little bit more detail about what you see the opportunities that maybe Community Partners has in our role in the nonprofit sector, but largely in just working with communities?
Yeah. So if you know me, you know that I am by my nature a pretty collaborative person and have partnered with all kinds of organizations. There's an incredible amount of talent, not only here in Los Angeles, but more broadly in the state and in the nation. And I don't pretend that we can do really important work by ourselves. And so I've been really reaching out to organizations and to other leaders to figure out how can we partner? What can we do differently than we have in the past in terms of a partnership? How do we get from 1 + 1 = 2 to 1 + 1 = 3? How do we kind of leverage that and create bigger opportunities that are aligned to the values and to keep equity and justice at the center of the work? So it will mean that we look at how do we support our own projects using an equity lens more powerfully? How do we center that work? How do we invite others into Community Partners? And how do we step into the world with in a humble, curious way of being in the world, as asking permission and seeing where we can make those kinds of linkages. Again, like we have a great set of projects. So, as you said, close to 180 some odd projects that we've got. To really make change happen in Los Angeles, you've got to build that out. And that means that we've got to go from 180 to 500. It may be, who do we partner with the foundation community, with other nonprofits, with other big types of organizations, with really smart consultants that are out there who can help guide us, who are going to ask us the tough questions and who are offering to help us build our own capacity to be as effective as we possibly can be in helping to bring about positive change in our communities that we care about. Like, we can't just look at what are the metrics that are most important to this organization without paying attention to, if there's all kinds of stuff that's coming at us in the community and all we're doing is focused on CP's own metrics, I'm not sure that I would count that as successful. Next year is the anniversary of the civil unrest that happened in 1992. It is a time to be reflective, as it has been in the racial reckoning that we've seen, that I would say has been in play for years and years and years. It's just that it got the attention that it did because of the murder of George Floyd. We have to really ask ourselves some really hard questions about what does it mean to be relevant? And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm open to seeing how we can change to better meet those demands. And I think the staff's excited.
Yeah, it sounds like we have a lot to look forward to in the coming year, like looking at how community partners has a deeper impact in our community with our fiscally sponsored projects and our intermediary work. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next chapter of community partners is.
Right.
So thank you, Alicia, for your time. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We're looking forward to working with everyone and, coming back and sharing a little bit more later on in the year.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.